So, for example, when we're first learning Tai Chi, we are moving very slowly, methodically, trying to remember all the steps of the motion, every single thing that Jason said, and where's my foot going, where's my hands going, and done all nice and slowly. And there's a tremendous amount of benefit from moving slow like this. Tremendous amount of benefit. I'll talk about it another time. But Tai Chi done at another level. So you think about this is like where you're shooting for, where you're heading for. Tai Chi has what William Chen and my teacher Bob call whip mechanics. And so the body gets the motions. Let me just show you instead of talking about it. So it would look like wow, 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 wow. Kind of like that. You see how there's kind of a bounce, there's a swing to it all, and I've been taking a ton of continuing education classes since COVID-19 happened. Because I haven't been working like normal, and so I've had a lot of time to do this. And so I've learned even more about fascia. And one guy, Robert Schleip, who I consider to be one of the best experts that we have on the planet now, who is doing he's not only doing fascial research, but he's getting out of the lab and going to talking to people like me and other practitioners about what he's finding. And he's good at explaining it. And people ask him, so how do you exercise? How do you train your fascia? How do you get your fascial body to be better and more strong and resilient and to benefit you so you can age more gracefully or whatever you want to do with your fascial system? And he basically said bouncing. And he doesn't mean to go stand on a trampoline and bounce up and down. There's all sorts of lymphatic benefits that come from that. But when you bounce on a trampoline, the bounce happens in the trampoline, not so much in your own body. Those of you who have been to my 8 Brocades classes or familiar with it, the last exercise is shaking the body. It's a bouncing one. What I just demonstrated with the whip mechanics of Tai Chi, well, I'm not doing it as good now because I'm talking and trying to show it to you. But that bounce, that bounce that happens, it's not a bounce in the knee. It's a bounce in every single part of the body. What's visible through watching me is probably my knees. But I'll tell you, and this is getting to the pelvis part, the origination of that bounce, I would say it feels like it's in my feet and my hips. The knees are secondary. The knees are bouncing just as a matter of course, but I'm not trying to make them bounce. So, anyways, that was a play on Sandra's cat there, and cats are just, they're brilliant at the bounciness, which is why they can jump so well. I've watched a cat sit on the floor on their hind haunches looking at the top of a refrigerator that's taller than me. I'm almost 6 feet tall. And they just boing, they just bounce right on up and they're on top. I mean, a 2-year-old cat can do that. A 10-year-old cat probably not. Or not a 14-year-old cat. And it's like, how do they do that? A dog can't do that. Anyways, that's just an example of what we're in Tai Chi, what we're working to do to train our fascia and why we do Tai Chi. So, any questions before we just start doing some Tai Chi? No. Okay. Let's do this then. So we're going to briefly review what we did the first week for those of you who came to the first class. These are the first 3 movements. And we'll do a little more, slightly more in-depth review of the 3 movements that we learned last week. And then we're learning 1 new movement today. So I think there's a person here that I don't remember being here the last couple weeks. So not to worry, there's only 1 movement we're learning today. And so we're going to practice all 7 of these movements several times today. Okay, so I'm going to do it once facing the camera, and then I'm going to turn around and have my back to the camera. So it's generally easier to follow along left and right if I have my back to you. But to see what's happening with my hands, it's easier in the front. So listen to what I say. My audio instructions will tell you what you need to do rather than trying to watch exactly what I'm doing on the screen here. So we're going to start with preparation. I'm going to start with the heels together and the toes and the feet are off 45 degrees. Your weight is balanced on both feet. Your knees are fairly straight. They're not so straight that they're locked, but they're like your normal standing straight. And if your normal standing straight knees is locked knees, I'll just ask you just to unlock them just a little bit. Not a huge bend. And then we take a deep breath. And on your exhale, let both knees soften a little bit, but the right knee softens a little bit more. And so your weight pours into the right leg 100%. And then a little bit picking up the left foot and stepping it to the left and turning it so the foot and toes point straight ahead. And soft knees, letting your belly go, letting your pelvis swing like a pendulum over to the left. So now your weight is 100% left foot. And then just lifting your toes and forefoot on the right and pivoting in your right hip on the right heel. So your right foot comes to be parallel with the left. And exhale, shifting your weight back so you're now 50% on each foot. Movement number 2, beginning. And we're going to energize with the arms coming up, hands relaxed. And then hands come up. Hands and fingertips alive, like you're reaching without reaching out through your shoulders. And then relaxing, hands come back. And energize, elbows drop. Hands wake up and the shoulder blades squeeze together slightly and relaxing, hands back down. Ward off with the left hand, 100% left foot. Hold the ball, right hand on top, and sinking down into that left foot in the forward part of your left foot. A little pivot to the right. Again, soft knees all through the form. Shifting your weight 100% onto the right foot now. And a little step with the left foot. You're stepping slightly out. So about where, if you move your foot back and see where your big toe is, pick up your foot and place your heel where your big toe was, or just slightly to the left where your big toe was. And soft knees, shifting your weight to about 70% right foot, and energize. So it's like serving an English butler serving a tray with the left hand. Right hand is energized, it's awake, has energy in it. And it's like blocking the bulldog that's coming up and wants to get the cookies that are on the tray. And the right foot rotates around 45 degrees. Ward off. So this is number 4. Ward off with the right hand. Sinking down 100% into that left foot. And hold the ball, left hand on top. And a little energize. So your torso rotates a little bit to the right, and your right foot picks up, steps slightly to the right and slightly out. And turning 90 degrees to do so. Soft knees, bending both knees as you shift your weight. When you're about 70% right foot, energize there. And the hands don't move, but the arms do. So you're still here and then here. So imagine you literally have a ball in your hand. This hand isn't going anywhere and this hand isn't going anywhere, otherwise you drop the ball. So it's just rotating the ball. Left hand faces the floor, and now left hand faces in front of you. And roll away. 100% right foot. 100% left foot. And the hands move in position here. With the left hand, left palm faces up towards the bottom of the right elbow. And the right hand comes back closer to your body. And energize. Both hands like you're grabbing onto a discus and you're going to throw it into the ground, or a sack of grain that you want to dump out on your left side. And then press. Both hands come up. Kind of like you had it for ward off right. Left hand palm is facing the right palm. Shifting your weight 70% onto the right foot and energize. You're pressing the base of your left hand into the base of your right hand. And then push. Hands separate. Coming to think about it, I didn't teach you push last week. So we're going to learn 2 more today. So the hands just separate, and it's as if they're resting on the top of a short fence. And the hands are just going to stay right where they are, and shifting your weight 100% onto the left foot. And the arms will straighten because the hands are staying right where they are. So if the difference of that would be if I reverse that and the hands come back, or I push the hands away, that's not what we're doing. The hands just stay right where they are, and the arms straighten a little bit as we shift our weight. So 100% left at this point, and then 70% right. And when you're grounded there, energize, push. In the beginning, most of us will tend to push through the hands. The push actually comes from the ground and the hips out through the hands. And if you're just pushing with your hands, don't worry about it. That'll come later. Okay. So is my recollection right that we did not learn, I did not teach you push last week? Anybody want to raise their hand and say, yeah, that's what they remember? Okay, I'm seeing nodding heads. Okay, all right. So it's a pretty easy move to learn because there's not a lot of foot shifting and whatnot. You do shift your weight, but you're not picking your feet up and moving around. Okay, so I'm going to turn away from the camera this time. Just making sure just Just making sure everything shows up in the frame there well. And we'll do this again, starting at number 1, preparation. Your heels together, feet off 45 degrees. With your knees straight but not locked. And go ahead and take a deep breath. And on your exhale, let both knees soften, but let your right knee soften a little bit more. And that will pour your weight 100% into the right foot. Stepping out on the left, turning the foot to face straight. And shifting your weight 100% left. And turning that right foot around from the hip. And shifting your weight 100% or 50% each foot. Number 2, beginning. Arms rise, hands relaxed, and hands, fingertips energized, and hands come back, go to sleep, go relaxed in front of the shoulders, and drop the elbows, wake up the hands and the fingers, and squeeze the shoulder blades just a bit. And hands come back on down, relaxing. And ward off with the left hand. 100% left foot, hold the ball, right hand on top. And pivoting on the right heel. 100% right foot. And stepping slightly out and to the left, slightly left. On the left heel, no weight there yet, keeping your weight balanced all on the right foot. And soft knees, shifting your weight, and when you're grounded, serve the tea, the platter, push the dog away, and turn that right foot around 45 degrees. And number 4, ward off with the right hand. 100% left foot, hold the ball, left hand on top, and turning your torso a little bit to the right, stepping slightly out, slightly to the right on the right heel. Still 100% left foot, and shifting your weight 70% right foot, and energize, turning the ball. Number 5 is roll away. So it's 100% right first and then 100% left foot. Hands in position here, and I can't count. Number 6 is press. So both hands come up, left palm faces the right palm, and they're just left of close to your left shoulder. And shifting your weight 70% right foot, and energize. Pressing the heel of your left hand into the heel of your right hand. And number 7, push. Hands separate, resting on the imaginary fence, and they stay there as 100% onto the left foot. Your arms will straighten a little bit, and 70% back onto the right foot. And when you're grounded, for push. Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions or concerns through that part through so far? Sandra, yeah? Yeah, so the push, Sandra's question there is the push, is it through the heel of the hands? No. You could, but it's gonna be more powerful. And I'll back up and say about press as well. But for push here, it's through the whole hands. So you think about you're driving along the road and see a friend that's in the ditch with them and two other people trying to push the car out of the ditch, and you decide to get out and you're going to help them. You're probably not going to push on the heels of your hands. You're going to get down low and you're going to get your hands in whatever position, the bumper or the trunk or whatever part you can get on the car, and get in there and get into your legs and be pushing from your legs, or maybe this foot is way back there and you're really pushing through the back leg to get that force to travel through your leg, out through your hands, because your shoulders aren't strong enough to push a car, unless you're Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was 30 or something like that. But that's not, pushing a car with your shoulders is not the most efficient way to do it. So it's your whole hands. And so back to press for a moment there. If I I'll turn this way here so you can see better. And I've said that it's the heel of the hand coming up to the heel of the other hand, heel of the left hand up to the heel of the right hand. This gets you in the ballpark. There are multiple styles of Tai Chi. There's multiple ways of teaching this. There's multiple ways that you could practice this. And back when people did practice Tai Chi primarily as a martial art, you had different teachers teaching you the push or press or ward off left in slightly different ways. Because in the reality is if you practice one way 5,000 times or 100,000 times or whatever it is, you're going to get really good at doing that. And that's going to be your style. When you go into a fight, you're going to have a particular style. That's going to be, and those could have advantages or disadvantages or whatnot. So the heel on the two heels of the hands coming together, sometimes it's taught that the left fingers come up and touch the left wrist. Sometimes it's the left palm that comes up the left wrist, or the two hands, the two palms come together. Any of those, for now, what I've been teaching, how I've been teaching this lately is the two heels of the hands come together, because that's a pretty good, solid, strong connection, and it's safe. If you were to do this at speed against the fingers, you did it really hard, maybe you could strain something in your wrist or your fingers or something, but we're not doing that kind of vigorous motion. So, yeah. Thank you. Did that make more sense? Okay. All right. Anyone else before we do this again? Okay. Oops. Oh, sorry about that. I had something pop up on my screen that I didn't want there because I couldn't see. So let's go through these again. Again, I'll have my back to the camera here. And one more thing. Another piece of background noise I had going on there myself. All right. So we'll start with preparation, heels together, feet off 45 degrees, knees straight but not locked. And take a deep breath. 100% right. Step out on the left, turning the foot forward. swinging your pelvis like a pendulum over to the left, and turning that right foot around so it's now parallel with the left. And weight is now 50-50. Number 2, beginning. Arms up and hands and fingertips alive, and hands back in front of the shoulders, and everything goes to sleep. And hands and fingertips wake up, elbows drop heavy, shoulders squeeze together slightly, and hands back down. Number 3, ward off with the left hand. 100% left foot, hold the ball, right hand on top. And pivoting on your right heel, so your right foot turns outward, 90 degrees. If that's uncomfortable for any part of your body, bring your feet closer together so you don't have such a wide stance. And 100% right foot. And pick up the left foot, step it and out to the left just slightly. Soft knees, shifting your weight. And when you're grounded on the left, about 70%. Serve the platter with tea and cookies and keep the dog away. And right foot rotates around 45 degrees. And number 4, ward off with the right hand. Hold the ball, left hand on top, 100% left foot. And turn to the right and step slightly to the right and slightly out on the right heel. And shifting your weight, 70% right foot, and energize. Roll away. 100% right foot, and 100% left foot. Hands in position. Left upward facing palm underneath the right elbow. Right hand is back by your right ear. And energize. Throwing the sack of grain from upper right to lower left. And that was number 5. Number 6 is press. Sinking down into the left foot even more. Both hands up, palms facing each other, out by your left shoulder, and 70% on the right foot, and energize. 2 hands come together and push. Number 7. Hands separate, and then 100% left foot. Hands stay where they are, and the arms straighten a little bit. And shifting your weight back to about 70% right, and energize. Okay. All right. Any questions that time through before we move on to the next thing? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands or hearing anything. So before we learn a single whip, because there's lots of parts to that move. Of all the movements that we've learned so far, you notice some of them are, I think they're more simple, like press and push. You're facing the same. You're facing this direction. You're facing the same direction all the time. There's no rotational thing going on. And single whip is You start facing this way and you end up facing that way at the end of the motion. So we'll get to that in a minute. But I promised to talk about the pelvis. So let me grab my spine model here that has a pelvis on it. And a brief anatomy lesson, if I can get this two halves of the pelvis to go back together there. I don't have the legs on this model here, but you know the legs would be attaching into here. That's the hip socket there. And from our feet, so from the first class I talked about the bubbling well, and that's where we get a lot of our power from. And we get our power in Tai Chi largely from relaxing. And when we relax, we become more cat-like. We tap into our fascial elasticity. Fascia is amazingly elastic, which is why when people get stiff and they go to jump off a two-foot ledge, it doesn't feel so good than when they were 4 years old and they could jump off a 4-foot ledge and be totally fine. Maybe even fall down and pop up laughing and run off. But as we age, that tends to be less of the case because we get stiff. So the bubbling well, the bottom of the foot there, which is the spot that's the soft spot that's just behind the ball of your foot, just a little bit behind there, as that drives into the ground, that energy, and by energy I mean physical kinetic energy, traveling up the leg into the hip here. And then because of this, because of the shape and design, the magnificent shape and design of the human pelvis, that energy that comes into the hip then can be transferred over to the other hip. But primarily what we're concerned in is that energy is transferred from the hip through this bone into the sacrum, into the whole spine. And the rib cage is attached into this area here. That has a major player in Tai Chi. The shoulders themselves, the bones don't connect to your spine at all. It's all soft tissue connection from the shoulder blades and the other parts of the shoulder to the spine. And so that's what we have this amazing range and flexibility and different things we can do with our shoulders because it's more soft tissue connection than bone. But that comes at a risk of using our shoulders improperly, and we end up with injuries or issues. So that's all I really wanted to show you about the anatomy there. And in Tai Chi, I'm assuming this is a Chinese word because this is where Tai Chi came from. They consider the pelvis, the femur, and part of the spine. They call that whole section of the body, they call it the qua, spelled Q-U-A. And so you can think of it from here just above the knee to here just at the bottom of your rib cage. That's the qua. And in Tai Chi, you hear me, oh, I'm relaxing the qua. And or, I'm energizing the qua. If you go watch my master teacher, Tai Chi Bob, my main teacher, he is a master in his own right. But his teacher, William Chen, people call him a grandmaster. It's a title that he is one of few people alive on the planet that has the skill and knowledge of Tai Chi like he does. He's been doing Tai Chi since he was like 17 or 18 years old. He's been teaching it since like 1960 or something. That's a long time. What was it? 60 years He's been teaching Tai Chi, and he's good at teaching it, good at doing it. And when you watch William Chen move, I don't know, I've given any, some of you have seen William Chen's videos, and you see him, yeah, da 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 da, do the motions here, and you don't see a whole lot going on here. And so I'm exaggerating it, and I practice it this way, I teach it this way. And so what's happening inside William Chen's body, or at least this is what I believe to be happening, because I don't live in his body, but between my teacher Bob and myself, this is what we've come up with, and other people too have come up with, what happens inside the body that you can't see. And this is where I think some of these mysterious words like qi come from. I've studied qi and energy, spiritual healing, all sorts of woo-woo stuff since I was 15 years old. So over 30 years, yeah, a long time that I've been studying this sort of stuff. And I'm always want to find out, okay, this sounds really magical and woo-woo, and I don't understand it, and mysterious, and ooh, it's some magical energy thing. And maybe if I get some of that energy, like Coca-Cola commercials, people drink Coca-Cola because they want to be happy and have fun and be carefree. Anyways, that's what Tai Chi was appealing to me at the beginning. And so anyways, breaking all that down into like, okay, this is physics, and these are motions, these are actions inside the body that we can't see. And so I'm going to show you what it looks like, what's happening inside the body. I'm going to slow it way, way down and exaggerate it, and then we'll put this to some of these, to one of these exercises, one of these Tai Chi movements here. So let's go with push here, for example here. So de-energize, relaxing, I'm sinking down, it's supposed to be like 70% right leg. I'm probably closer to 100, and that's fine. You just don't want the weight, the greater weight, to be on the left leg in this motion here. Sinking down, and I'm doing this by not bending the knee, because watch how my knee is here, and if I bend my knee, suddenly my knee is going forward. That's bending my knee. So if my knee stays where it is and I bend the hips, I stick my butt out and I lean my spine forward, and I'm really exaggerating here. This is a de-energize. This is making the qua relax and coil inward. And that right foot is really dug into the ground, because my body, my upper body is fairly heavy. It's putting a lot more weight down directly to here. It's easier to relax into this leg. This leg is working like a champ right now. It's speaking to me. I feel the muscles in my quads working. And then the energize is, watch the knee, it's not going to move, and watch the hips. So the energize is, I'm not going to do the hands, just watch my hips. Let me show you again. So I'll de-energize. Watch the knee, it's not moving, it's not moving. The hips are going back. And energize. So let's try this for a minute. If you've just been watching me, let's try this for a minute. And I'm going to talk you through some steps that I haven't said yet. So get onto your right leg and soft knees. You just want them a little bent. And the way to know if, here's a couple keys. If you've got, if you have a foam roller, if you have a foam roller at home, I'm going to put this against the door here, the wall, and you could do this. We're not going to do it right now. I'm just showing you what you could do. Put it against your knee there, and that's going to prevent you. Most of us, when we're first learning how to do that, we just bend the knee. The knee goes forward. If your knee goes beyond the end of your toes, it puts a lot of strain on your knee. You don't want to do that. If you want to make your knees stronger, then do this exercise there. And so, and as you de-energize and your butt sticks out, notice as your weight start to shift back onto this leg or onto your right heel. You want your weight to go straight down into the right foot, in the forward part of the right foot, into the bubbling well. So here's the ball of my foot there, and just behind that is right there. And that's the general area there. There is a acupuncture point there that if we were doing needles, we'd want to get more specific, but for Tai Chi purposes, it's the general area in here, forward part of the foot. So putting your weight 70% on this right leg here again, soft knees, and sticking your butt out, leaning your torso forward, keeping the weight on the forward part of the foot so it doesn't start driving into the heel there. And you don't have to go down all that far. I've gone down fairly far here. And scooping, think about your, in the past I've talked about scooping the tailbone under. So that's one way you can think about it. You can also think about there's a string attached to your pubic bone, and that string's being pulled up towards where gravity comes from, up towards the sky. And that will bring, if you watch my belt line, you see my pelvis is tipped forward, and now it's still tipped forward, but it's more level than it was. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on this? Is this making sense? Okay, I see nodding heads. All right, that's good. This matters because this is how we get the power in our hands. The first time I met William Chen was in 1999, and he would have been in his 60s then. And he had these flabby arms. I mean, here in the West, particularly women are, I think, well, men too. I mean, anybody with this under here is this big flappy piece of skin or whatever. Our society tends to not like that much, and people, go do all sorts of arm and upper body workouts to keep that from ever happening. God forbid should they have flabby arms underneath there. And this William Chen is a master Tai Chi practitioner. He's also, when he used to box, he used to do Tai Chi boxing, he was undefeated. I felt the glimmer of the power of his hands. I held my hand out one time and he came up and he basically slapped it. Barely. I mean, I know it was probably 0.25% of what the kind of power he was capable of. And when he hit my hand, it felt like I'd been hit by a truck, but it didn't hurt. And I just reeled away laughing. Just laughing that here's, and this was like 5 or 6 years ago. So he was in his 80s. He was an 80-year-old man who hit my hand and is making me laugh at how powerful it was. I could tell you lots of stories about William Chen, but that's just one. And he gets that from the rooting. And so let me bring you to the actually, before let's go on, let's practice this one more time, and then we'll learn single whip. Okay. So I'm going to turn around facing this way because this was the direction when we were going through the motions before. This was the direction of push. So we've finished press here, and then push. Hands separate and relax, sinking down, relaxing that whole quad, shifting your weight slowly onto the left foot so you're 100%. And now the relaxed quad has shifted legs. You're now on the left leg. And then you're going to relax into that left quad even more as you shift it onto the right leg. So you're now back to about 70% on the right foot, right leg. And energizing the quad by lifting the pubic bone. The hands don't really move a whole lot. The power it's hard to see the power. Even if we were in person, you wouldn't see it a whole lot more than you're seeing it on video because there's not a lot of motion there. You'll see people doing pushing their arms. If your elbows go straight like this, yeah, that's not it. That's not it. That's not good for your elbows. You always want your elbows, no matter what you're doing, your elbows to be slightly bent. At least I'll just say in regards to Tai Chi. In doing Tai Chi, the arms are never straight. Okay. Let's do that one more time, and then we'll learn single whip. So we've finished our press. And we're going to push. Hands separate. And weight shifts. Relaxing 100% left foot. And 70% right foot. And energize. Lifting the pubic bone just slightly. You're not standing up. You're just it's a workout on the thigh, that's for sure. Okay. All right, so single whip. Relaxing 100% left foot. And I gotta step to the side here for a second to give myself enough space. And then you're gonna pivot your whole body 90 degrees to the left. And as you do so, the right foot's going to turn around 90 degrees. So both feet are pigeon-toed, kind of pointing towards each other here. And 100% onto the right foot. The left palm is going to be facing upward, like you did in I'll turn around so you can see better. Facing upward like you did in roll away. The right hand is the fingers are going to come together. So all the fingertips are pointing together in one piece. And we call this the pecking sparrow. So you've got this pecking sparrow, kind of a bent wrist or dropped elbow down towards the left palm. And you're really sunk down into that right leg, right hip, and right bubbling well. And energize by rotating in your right hip. And that's going to drive out your right arm. So if I step to the side, the arm is straightened out here. And then a little relax, sinking back down into the right leg even more. And step on the left foot out to the left slightly. So now both feet are once again at 90 degrees to each other. Soft knees, shifting your weight over to the left, and when you're grounded on the left, 70%, is energized number 1, where the left hand comes up and the palm is facing your left shoulder. And energized number 2, the left palm rotates the face away from you, and the right foot rotates around 45 degrees. And the right arm is still extended out in the pecking sparrow. So if I turn and face you, it looks like this. Okay. So let's do that again. We finished our push going into single whip. So you're 70% on the right foot, and then 100% left foot. And the hands stay largely where they are, where the arms straighten again a little bit. And then a little energize, whoop, turning 90 degrees to the left, and your right foot turns around as well, so you're pigeon-toed. And 100% right foot, pecking sparrow, fingers together on the right, and left palm faces upward, and it's a little energized. So it's a rotate in the right hip. You're still 100% right foot, and the right arm is extending outward. Again, not straight elbow, but straighter. And then stepping, large step to the left, just on the heel. You're still 100% weight right foot. Soft knees, shifting your weight. And when you're grounded, it's energized number 1 and number 2. Hand turns around and right foot rotates around. Okay. All right. Let's do that one more time, and then we'll put them together. So we've finished our push. We're 70% right. And number 8, single whip. 100% left foot. And 90 degrees to the left, still 100% left. Right foot rotates around 90 degrees, so you're pigeon-toed. 100% right foot, pecking sparrow with the right fingers, upward facing palm with the left hand. And pivoting in the right hip, right arm extends outward. And step to the left, just the heel, no weight there yet. And then soft knees, shifting your weight. And when you're grounded, I'm sorry, I got out of frame there on the last little bit. Okay. So let's put these 8 motions together. We'll start at preparation. Deep breath. You've got your heels together, feet off 45 degrees, knees straight but not locked. And on your exhale, soft knees, a little more on the right, 100% right foot. Step out on the left, foot turns straight. Swinging your pelvis like a pendulum over onto the left. And 100% left, pivoting on the right heel and the right hip. And so your foot's parallel with the left, and 50-50 on each foot. And beginning, hands, arms rise, and then hands and fingertips alive. Arms and hands asleep, relaxed in front of the shoulders. And energize. Lift the pubic bone as your hands wake up, elbows drop, shoulder blades squeeze together slightly. And relaxing, hands back down. Number 3, ward off the left hand, 100% left foot. Hold the ball, right hand on top, and pivoting on the right heel to the right. Shifting your weight 100% right foot, and a little step on the left heel. Soft knees, shifting your weight. When you're grounded, lifting that pubic bone just slightly. Ward off. Number 4, ward off with the right hand. 100% on the left foot, holding the ball, left hand on top, in front of, above your left leg. And little turn and step on the right, just the heel touching the ground, no weight. Then shifting your weight. And you're grounded on the right. Energize. And the left foot rotates around. Roll away. 100% right foot. And 100% left foot as your hands move into the position here. And energize. Throwing the sack of grain to the left and press. Hands up. Left palm faces the right palm and near the left shoulder. Shifting your weight 70% on the right leg and push. 100% left foot, hands separate. 70% right foot again, and single whip. Number 8. 100% left foot, and turning 90 degrees to the left in the left hip, and the right foot rotates around. And you haven't seen this, when the hands are here, they come around in the same orientation. They just come along for the ride. Now 100% right foot. Pecking sparrow, points down, left palm faces up. And we'll energize. Rotating in the right hip to extend your right arm. And step on the left heel. Soft knee, shifting your weight when you're grounded. Both those energizes at the end there. So something I'll share with you all today that I just learned, that this relates to Tai Chi and cats. Cats have the ability, they've somehow studied this. Apparently cats in New York City are famous for falling off of roofs and out of buildings. They've noticed that if a cat falls 5 stories or less, they walk away without too much injury. They're pretty fine. If they fall out of a building 8 stories or higher, they've even had cats that fell from like 31 and 42 stories high. I mean, I don't know how tall a story is, 12 feet or something. That's way up there. That's a long ways. And they walked away, you know, but between 5 and 8 stories, there's something that happens with the cats. The short story is, they get into physics a bit, I won't go into, but the short story is it has to do with wind resistance. Also, after about 8 stories, the cat has relaxed. and they have spread themselves out like what you call it, a flying squirrel. And so when they hit the ground from 12 stories up or 20 stories or 9 stories, they kind of belly flop. And cats are, I mean, if you ever, I suppose everyone had been around a cat enough and held one and see how they move and everything. They are so flexible and graceful and sinewy. They used to make tennis rackets out of cat intestines. I don't know if they still do that. I imagine with modern synthetic materials, they don't need to kill cats anymore, or I don't know how they got the cat guts. But anyways, that spreading out like a flying squirrel and landing on the ground, combined with the basically fascia. You've heard, some of you heard me talk about fascia. This fascia is like a spring in this isn't entirely accurate, but it's like there's a spring in every cell of your body with this fascia. And the magic of Tai Chi, and I'm going to talk about the pelvis today, is through accessing the springiness of Tai Chi.